Welcome to Innovators of Tomorrow. I'm your host, Wendy Boswell, here to bring you the sights, sounds, and inspirational work from developers in our innovator community from around the globe. Today, we are talking to Intel Software Innovator Paulo Pinheiro about his project Wheelie, a wheelchair that can move using only facial expressions. So let's get this started. All right, so Paulo, thanks for being here with us today. Can you bring us up to speed on what you've been working on?
Yeah, I have been working on robotics for my entire career, receiving my PhD in the area. At the time, I was working with the iRobot Roomba, the vacuum cleaning robots, to make them faster, to make them smarter. They could plan ahead their cleaning activities, considering the residents at home, so they could save time and power. And then I got part of this software and put inside a wheelchair, a regular wheelchair, to make it smarter, a smart wheelchair. So the wheelchair could go from point A to point B by itself. And what we discovered was that the users, they like the feature, but they would like to control the wheelchair and not to be controlled by a wheelchair all the time. So we create a very unique way for the users to control a wheelchair in a more comfortable way.
Right, so I've seen this device at a couple of events, Intel Developer Forum, Paraplegic Olympics, and I believe you call it Wheelie. Can you tell us more about this project?
Yes, the Wheelie is the first ever computer program capable of translating facial expressions like a kiss, a smile, into commands to control a wheelchair. So quadriplegic people diagnosed with ALS, they can now control a wheelchair in a less invasive way, in a more comfortable way.
This is an amazing project that has the potential to help a lot of people. So what was your inspiration behind creating Wheelie?
Well, I was at the airport waiting for my flight, and I saw this girl in the wheelchair. She could not move her hands, she could not move her legs. Her father was helping her to control the wheelchair, and she had a great smile. You know, when you see someone who has a great smile and you cannot stop to think about it, it was the case. So I just thought, okay, I don't know how to do this right now, but someone should definitely try to translate that smile into commands to control a wheelchair.
That is a great story. So you basically took that inspiration and turned it into a project. Can you tell us how you created Wheelie?
Yeah, so I got back to the office, and the first thing I did was to run idea validation. So I set up a meeting with my quadriplegic people, colleagues, and people diagnosed with ALS. I told them about the idea. I got excellent feedback. Start to write the code. And at the time, we had a great machine learning software, but we didn't have the great hardware. Then in Brazil, in São Paulo, I ran into the Intel RealSense technology doing a hands-on that Intel was hosting over there. And boom, we had the right software, right hardware, put all them together and went from the idea to the prototype. A few days later, I was giving up my postdoc position that I was about to take in Sweden, and we found Hubox Robotics, that is the startup behind the Wheelie.
So it sounds like you had a team of people that worked on Wheelie with you. Can you tell us more about your team?
Yeah, right now we are 8 people in the team, and we are all experts in machine learning, artificial intelligence, robotics, and also human behavior analysis.
Well, it sounds like you kind of cover the gamut as far as everybody brings something to the table. So can you tell us more about the hardware and software that you used in this project?
Yeah, sure. For the hardware, you use a 3D camera. We use Intel RealSense technology camera. The 3D map, the depth map, it's just amazing for our application. It's too precise. I love the design of the camera, and it's a reliable product as well. To capture this stream, the 3D stream, we use the Intel RealSense SDK 2.0. So it's a cross-platform, so allow us to build prototypes both for Linux and Windows. And then as an onboard computer in this latest version, we use Intel NUC. So we capture the 3D map, and then we run our software to get the facial landmarks. We classify facial expressions, and then we send the command to a little robot that we place over the joystick of the wheelchair to control the wheelchair.
That is cool. So Wheelie's gotten a lot of exposure. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, our first global event was the Intel Developer Forum 2016, the IDF. And since then, we got a lot of visibility. We got invited to go to the Paralympic Games in Brazil. Brazil was hosting the Olympic Games over there. It was just nice to take Wheelie there so people could use facial expressions to control a wheelchair. And then we have demo Wheelie in many countries in Europe and all around the US. Our last demo was at Johnson & Johnson, where we won the prize, and we got invited to be here in Houston, incubated in the J Labs.
Oh, that's cool. So I think you also published a scientific paper that got quite a bit of recognition around Wheelie. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, sure. At Hubox, we are all scientists. We are always publishing academic papers. The last one, it was very important to us because we evaluate the use of facial expressions to drive a wheelchair over a real-life scenario. So we asked 30 volunteers to drive a wheelchair using Wheelie facial expressions in a home, so they could go through corridors, obstacles, doors, doing turns and displacements in a very precise way. The good thing it was that all of them, they complete the mission, they could do this very well, and they could improve the ability to use facial expressions to drive a wheelchair as well. And also we got some insights about what facial expressions the users like the most to use, like kiss, a smile, they love to use. Wrinkle nose like this, they don't like it. So those kind of insights is good for our next version of the product.
So those were the facial expressions that people were most comfortable with?
Well, you have 10 facial expressions. You can choose the ones that you think it's more comfortable. You just need 5. One to go forward, backward, turn left, turn right, and to stop. So, but you have 10 to choose to pick it up.
That's cool that people have given you that kind of input on the facial expressions that work for them. So you mentioned Johnson & Johnson earlier, and I believe you've just joined Johnson & Johnson Labs. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that has been great. I mean, we are here right now at J Labs in Houston as the Johnson & Johnson Innovation Lab. We are improving the Wheelie in so many different ways. We are improving its design, its usability, safety. We are learning from the experts how we can put the Wheelie's technology in other device, medical device or consumer device. So it has been amazing. Our latest version we call Wheelie 6 because it only takes 6 minutes to be installed in any motorized wheelchair available in the market.
Well, okay, so this is a kit that can be retrofitted to any wheelchair?
Yeah, that's it. You don't need a robotic wheelchair, a special wheelchair, just a regular wheelchair. Those motorized wheelchair you have available in the market.
That is really cool. So is the software open source? Is the community helping to develop it?
The community is really helping. They are giving us excellent feedbacks. The software is still learning from them, from their facial expressions. The facial recognition software, the version that works regardless of the light condition, the position of the head, is not open source. But the cool thing is that we are creating an open source platform so developers can build their own interface and use this platform to control the joystick, the robot that is placed over the joystick to control a motorized wheelchair. Just a regular one, not a special one. So you just take care about the interface, and the robotic part, we are going to take care.
That is amazing. So, Paulo, what are next steps for Wheelie? Where do you see this going?
Next steps are amazing. We are getting the technology from the wheelchair input into ICU beds, the intensive care units, so we can monitor patients. And so far we can detect 10 level of pain. We can detect agitation and sedation level. We have a detector for spasms and delirium. This for intensive care units. And 2 months from now, we are going to embed the technology inside baby monitors so we can track the baby's sleep record. So it will be just amazing, just capturing facial expressions. So for people in wheelchairs on intensive care units bed, or for patients who are newborn babies, we are capturing facial expressions to detect human behaviors and predict those risk human behaviors just to make their life better and also save lives.
That is amazing, Paulo. It is so awesome to see how many people you've already impacted with this invention and how many people that you're going to potentially impact in the future. So thank you so much for coming onto the show today and talking with us.
Thanks for having me on the show, Wendy.
You can connect with Paulo and learn more about Wheelie at the links provided. That wraps up this installment of the show. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Intel Software YouTube channel to keep learning about the innovators of tomorrow. On behalf of an amazing video crew, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.